Hello everyone, and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. We have the third of a best of three series in the Adopt a Noob tourney held on the Blitzwar community channel, and I'm once again teamed up with my expert player, the Grape Jellyman, who's also here with us in voice if you want to say hello.
Hello.
And we'll get into the discussion of his section of the opener first, but just briefly, my side, the 2-point India push I really like to do on team games, but also in 1v1s, and our whole plan was figure out where Nick Deman is and avoid it. So if I get into India and it's his second, I'm supposed to push. If it's Nick Deman, maybe not so much. And we also did want an early cap on Fox. So Jelly, you want to take it away with what you were doing on that side of the board?
So we've actually played this exact same matchup quite a while ago. I think it's up on the channel versus Cork and Orange, who are pretty experienced players.
Yeah, it's the training day video, I think it was.
Yeah, I believe so. But this matchup, Eurocore and DGC, I think we've got a really nice synergy here with the Crotal coming up to escort the DGC units along with the AMX-10s, giving a bit of wheeled speed for the otherwise slow DGC units or unprotected.
Like the Martyr 2s, the YPRs, the AMX Prees. Like the Gepard 2 is a monster of an AA piece, but it doesn't have the range and speed of the Crotal. But
yeah, and that's really what you need, especially versus these opener helo drops.
That dodged us pretty well, though. I didn't realize that at the time. So
yeah, they definitely.
Oh, do they get the Tiger?
Around.
Nice one shot there.
I think that they might get the Tiger, but
oh yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, it's kind of rough. We did, by the way, already see it is Nick Deman here. But at this point, I kind of just forgot what we had said earlier and figured, you know, I already have all this stuff bought. Let's just go.
I think what ends up happening is, so Nick is playing USSR. We actually see on the right the K52 does go down after the Tiger goes down.
Oh,
but what we see is Nick has a Ka-52. There's a lot of USSR units as well in like support, stuff like the Ka-52, the Yak-141. So Nick is splitting his attention with USSR. So that should mean that there's going to be a limited holding force in India from either Feelgood or Nick, one or the other. And as we see the Factoria over there, it's probably just going to be a few holding units from Nick.
Factoria, Scrajit.
Double mid.
And most of my openers here too. So I sent with you a Crotal, 2 AMXs, that's what, 140 points, roughly?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this is the rest of it pretty much. So we have Legion 90, we have Vabs.
It's important you have this CV as well in your opener, which is
and
pretty substantial, as we're already ticking +2, and you're going to see I bring out a CV as well fairly early, which is on Nuclear. Getting these first 4 CVs out is really big.
Yeah, so you have the +2 zone here, the +2 zone there, and then if we spend the rest of the time fighting over Delta, so be it, right? That's a +1 zone. The +2 early tick, well, counts double as much, if I'm good at math anyway. And so my main objective
as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Their ability to even tick +2 by your pressure in India here.
Which this is game 3. We've won 1, we've lost 1, and the loss was pretty rough. We kind of got picked up and put into a dumpster, which is never the best feeling. But yeah, my main objective here, I just wanted to get into the town as quickly as possible. Getting in here makes it, even if you do get pushed out, it requires significant investment usually. And I just didn't want those reinforcements to get in. So 2A1's going up, smoke coming down, and then I really wanted to get in. But that Mi-24 VP was very nicely placed, and I had to move up the rolling 3s to hit. That's 1 hit, and 2, there we go. So looking back over here, what was going on? Because I was laser focused on this side, and then I think you were just telling me, you know, move the Crotal back, move this up. What's going on over here?
So it's kind of odd. Usually you'll see a push into Alpha from their side. So I actually get caught out of position here with my Corps Mariner, which are currently headed to the right, because I figured first, oh, they're going to be pushing Alpha, so the Corps Mariner should be there. And then I'm like, this is all empty. Did they just full commit to mid? And it looks like they just have a pretty strong defensive force here.
Yeah, it looks like a full commit to Delta.
+1. Yeah, they're mainly committed to Delta with a pretty strong defensive force in Charlie.
It's been a while since I've seen that in... Well, I've seen it in public TB2s, but in something like the Adopt a Noob or similar, or even just other tourneys, it's been a while since I've seen the fight over Delta. It's the classic thing as you get into the game and you start playing this game, that's what you expect people to go for. But the more you play, the less you see it. In my experience, I don't know if that matches yours as well.
I think in part it has to do with their deck selections. USSR is an absolute beast in deep forest grinding, and so is well, for a motorized deck, you might think, oh, it can't really grind, but in particular, Finpal
Right.
has some really good elites, the Aranicos 90, which are just gonna
Yeah, and
absolutely dumpster heavy armor in the forest.
even the cart in Nikri, I mean, that's one of the few Red 4 units that, I don't know, at least at first glance, I would say that they might trade okay with Core Mariner. Maybe not
At
win.
least in the town, they'll probably be point efficient.
Yeah, exactly. Which, yeah, that's sort of all you need in a long game like this. So my Commandos Para and Legion are forward. The Roland 3 should have probably been a bit farther forward than it was, but we are in the town, so Legion 90 doing well there. I should have already had ATGMs on the way, and I don't, and that was a big mistake. Instead, I bought a Mars, and I have the rest of this coming up. So it's Panzer Grand 90 and the Martyr 2s, some more reservists just to go up and sort of fill this gap. And I really just wanted to deny India as long as I possibly could, because that really does wonders in this. So we're already ticking +4. If we can deny them their +2, and Delta still is anyone's game, that's going to be a while where we're at least taking +2 and even the +4 for, well, I mean, barely even 6 minutes now. We're at 165.
Massive. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be hard to come back from, hopefully, anyway, as long as we don't trade really, really poorly. And this is something where I was actually going to ask your advice, because this stuff all felt kind of stranded. The BMPs felt like a good answer there from Nick Deman, and the T-72As as well, just because if I engage that with the 2A1s, it's just more guns than I can handle, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't quite know what was wrong with that, what I should have done differently to change that force composition, or if I should have just fallen back right now.
And yeah, I suppose you could just fall back. The 2A1's always going to be able to beat these BMPTs at range, and even the T-72. The T-72 even in numbers, but the main thing you need is distance, because you're playing those extra points for the stats like armor and AP.
Yeah, that's fair. Ooh, Yak 141. This guy was circling forever.
Don't really matter.
Yeah, that's fair. I was trying to get out. I think we might get killed here. Yeah, nearly got the BMP. Weapons jam though on the 2A1 was the worst possible timing. Yeah, no, it was just what I needed to get out of dodge, hopefully, and if I can block off the T-72As.
Yeah, that was a good smoke cloud.
And we actually killed Iroquois in this section as well, so I traded a bunch of reservists for it. But I view that as a positive, so I traded 35 points of reservists in boxes for a 35-point recon infantry. That has way lower availability.
I mean, I guess he has 2 cards, but yeah, he definitely doesn't get an infinite number of them.
I don't know a Baltic Moto player who doesn't take 2 cards, but we missed a lot over in Delta, and the last time we looked over, there was a lot of infantry here from our side. Now it's all gone. How did that happen?
So, committing into the town ends up... I do have these Core Mariner, and they're really, really like just top of the line for fighting in, well, against everything practically.
Right.
The problem is there is a lot of infantry and motorized infantry in that town, and that's what I just found out with the Core Mariner, and I'm still trying to fight my way into the town, maybe get them out, but it's really just going to end up being in vain.
Well, we'll have to see how we deal with it then, and I was hoping this would last a lot longer than it did, so BMPTs, BTRs, ASUs, all of this stuff, I'm down to this little corner. My Milan team's not able to get there in time.
A really efficient retake from Nick Deman here.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone's going to do it efficiently, it's going to be him.
Absolutely.
But that was just terrifying, because in my head, I was sitting there going, okay, I've secured this. I've held this position for 20 minutes before, and I couldn't hold it for 5. It was terrifying, absolutely terrifying.
And what you're seeing here is he doesn't really have any like heavy tanks or anything. It's just T-72As and BMPTs and all this stuff to kill your infantry.
It's numbers more than anything else.
The 2A1 just gets caught out of position, and it can't deal with this stuff.
Right. So these are just base 55-point tanks, and sure, 2 of them. Yeah, the auto-loaded, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's at close range, it'll do decently well. This really hurts. My Legion 90 fired at the ASU. I wanted them to hit the T-72A. See, the second missile goes that way. Yep, 3 in a row misses, and that hurts so bad, because if I could get a 55-point kill there, that would have been really great.
Just keep shooting ASUs.
Yep. Yeah, it was really annoying. Second 2A1, this was called in earlier. Now it's a little bit too late. It doesn't really have a place on the offensive, I'd say. So my intention is just to not lose ground here. Then we were talking, kind of going, okay, Delta is lost now. The Red 4 team's ticking +1 for the first time ever, but 30 minutes, that +1 tick wins in the game.
Yes.
So,
but I think what's happening here is they're winning in Delta. W-
In
While they're
quotation marks.
definitely, yeah, they definitely have the advantage and more control of the zone. But the thing is, as you'll see momentarily, we have this big 170 point tank CB that we can.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
where
called it
is it?
out first for Alpha.
Okay, yeah, the Panzerkampfwagen Leopard
Yeah,
2.
just I like to buy it first for here. That way, if something sneaks back, especially playing against Moto, you don't lose 100 point CB.
Excuse me, sir. Jeep CVs are cheaper. That clearly means they're better.
But no, seeing we're just gonna move that Leopard 2 CB in the zone, and that turns it into something where they're gonna just snipe at our CB, and it's gonna be a battle for who has more control over the zone. And it's gonna turn it into a battle of them pushing us out of the zone, and that's because this early tick enables us to. We don't have to
We
play
don't
for a
need the
plus
plus
one.
one, they do.
They do, yeah, exactly, and that's why this tick early is really important.
It honestly seems like something that is occasionally undervalued. Like, I know sometimes I don't go for tick in 1v1s if I really feel like I can just beat the other person outright. But
Yeah,
I'm not sure I'll ever feel that way playing against Nick Demand. He is a general and is just a legendary figure in the gaming community for this game. I mean, everyone knows Nick Demand. I knew Nick Demand before I actually purchased my own copy of it because I'd heard about him through other channels, through Rangru and all that stuff. He's mentioned there too, just as being that guy who's that good,
I mean,
right?
he is one of the best
Yeah.
by far. You
So,
see this core marinere. This is pretty big. These 9 core marinere.
oh yeah, surviving
I
for right
think they're
there.
gonna be able to slip out of the town here.
And speaking of
Which
things that were pretty big, one, I've just marked where I'm going to go next, and I don't think you believed me when I marked it. We'll see if it can actually happen. But two, these Commandos Para, just walking around, having a good time, taking a day off on the
stroll.
beach. Yeah, it's pretty nice. You know, there's some rocks, there's some water, all
If
that,
you actually walk a little closer to the beach, you'll end up.
sort of
Actually,
beyond that curve. I
yeah,
was
you'll
trying
break
to
line
do
of
that.
sight, but you don't need to typically with recon infantry here, just because you're so far away from anything that might have good optics.
Yeah, and then we just were holding here, reservists going in, getting a couple
Yeah, I
value
believe
kills
this
on
is when
Spetsnaz
you
Grew.
mentioned that applying pressure here on the left was probably going to be futile, especially versus USSR in this deep forest. Even with the reservists, it's just not going to be enough, and I believe we start to pivot rather soon here to mid, especially because now you're drawing pressure from both players. You can see the
Right,
circle
so
there
feel
and the
good.
KTs. So
Yeah.
it's definitely time for you to rotate to mid, and you do
And
wonderfully.
well, thank you so much. One thing too, like the other reason that just felt like fighting a brick wall is Moto gets an availability well, not availability, gets a veterancy bonus for their infantry, and that
Hmm.
means that my one veterancy reservists are gonna run into just things that will pancake them out, right? So
Oh, absolutely.
these guys in a general deck might win the occasional infantry fight. Against a motorized deck, they're just not gonna. And as you said, it's both players, so Spetsnaz grew here as well, and some Sapri, it looks like, behind them.
I'd say even in the infantry fight, their transport's going to be doing the majority of the damage, not even the reservists. Their guns are just so bad.
Right, but those guys are all dead now, and I was just using this as target practice, basically, with the mortar, just going, okay, if I can
Well,
mortar some Spetsnaz grew, or some Sapri, that's fine, it's better than nothing.
it's like a hammer and anvil, right? The
Yeah,
anvil of the reservists and the hammer of the mortar.
exactly. So now I'm pivoting over to the right. You fought in Delta for so long, it's like
I've been
the
pushed
entire
out of the
game.
town every time that I try to get in there, and about now I'm just like, all right, you want to be in the town? That's fine. I'm just gonna set my CD here, and you can come and get it.
Right, and I mean, these are comparatively cheap howitzers too, but they're 10 AG, and
Yeah,
they might not kill infantry outright unless you have the best micro in the world and hop between towns right as it lands. Um, but they'll
I know
certainly
nothing of the
damage.
sort.
I have no idea who I could be talking about there. Just not familiar at all.
The
Um,
main thing is they make it really hard to push under them because if you look at Delta and the way that this terrain is laid out, their dispersion is just about the size of this forest between the road to your right a little bit,
okay.
where they have to approach to get to our CB. And at the moment, I'm firing into the town because we were just fighting there. But you'll notice the fire shift as soon as they start to push, and that makes it so wounded squads trying to get out are just going to be lost. Fresh squads coming in are going to drop to like half HP instantly. It's absolutely devastating.
Gotcha. And then this was my cluster as well. And usually people will put a tank CV right about there in the back, so that's what I was looking for. As it turns out, infantry CV, but the placement was pretty close. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's not too many places that you can put it there discreetly, but
no, so what I have seen is sometimes when people take this zone this far as red, they'll actually put a command infantry in the town, but
yeah,
that
not a bad
risks
idea.
getting killed by something like this, right? So
Yeah, I mean, well, if I was CD sniping at the M110s, definitely could have seen that CD go down. But at the moment, it's like we're very secure. Again, we're secure in the tech. We're secure in our uh, ground control or KD for the most part.
and it
So
begins though.
no need to no need to risk it too much.
Look at this. That's an Oregon, I'd want to say.
Yes, sir. We
Yeah.
should have. They should have 2 Oregons, 2 to 4 Oregons, because they're playing Baltic and
So
USSR. But I believe the Baltic player Feelgood is going to be having a part of RM70s.
yeah, that does make a lot of sense. What were these pings, by the way? If you can just explain sort of what's going on here.
I believe these were pings around. Oh man, I think. Oh yes. So these are the Core Mariner from my opener. Actually, they're completely out of position still. Over here instead of where they need to be in mid. And I think that they're pings on where to sneak around and try to get recon so that we can kind of make a base for a push, because you really need recon as you're like just so you can see where you're pushing, and so getting recon into preemptive positions can be incredibly useful. What
Yeah,
we're going to
but they
see
had
is
nice defense here.
yes, they are prepared for it.
And Iroquois Yakuri are not the meanest forest fighters, but when they're supported by a KT, yeah, that's pretty mean.
KT will do quite a bit of work.
Alright, so I almost wish I'd gone for the KT, because the Edix has pretty decent range, but it's just too
There's a
far.
substantial push in there.
Oh yeah,
Look
look at that, Yakuri coming in. You've actually moved the Command Leopard all the way back here.
Yeah, I believe that it actually took a hit from the Renako Yukari, which will put it
Oh jeez.
in major danger. I believe it gets two-shotted if it does get hit, so it's
Yeah.
very risky.
And then my Panzerground
Now we're
moving up.
seeing-
Just,
Yeah, we're seeing this combination of USSR and Baltic Moto, just this absolute beasts in the forest.
yeah, just a disgusting ball of doom. Because
Yes.
the Yakuri supported by USSR Sapri is just...
And this is our answer. You can see it coming in. It's just firing the mortars and the artillery.
Yeah, all that stuff may as well, right? Why not?
Yeah.
No reason not to. And yeah, everything that we can hit.
Yeah.
Jeez, T-72As. There's the Sapri. Garten Yakuri, 15-point strength. These are the guys I was talking about earlier, and I think their RPD acts like it's elite, even though they're shock. It's a little weird.
I believe it's their submachine gun has the rate of fire of an elite submachine gun.
Okay, yeah, I flipped it. My apologies.
So they're really, really good in the towns, especially.
Right, where the SMGs do better.
Correct.
Yeah, so I think we're both just sending more in. These are mostly reservists in the VTTs, but then it's probably Panzergren in boxes.
Yeah, that looks like 6 squads of Panzergren. That's nothing to scoff at,
Yeah.
especially versus USSR, where these heavy vehicles are really what they use to make progress in the forest.
But the Panzergren 90 have those Panzerfaust 3s, 24 AP. 10 rounds per minute is not amazing, but they hit like a ton of bricks, so it's kind of what you're hoping
Maybe not
for.
the best for dealing with stuff like little box spam, but versus stuff like BMPTs, I mean, they can't have infinite of them, right?
That's true. So I'm about to get distracted because look at this. There it is. Command infantry from Feelgood lost 99, and I messed up. I had queued a move order already, and I moved away from it.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know, right? I was sitting there going, oh, come on. If I had been able to move over and follow that squad, odds are I would have been able to get a kill. As it is, it's a decap, it's a move. They bought a VP, which that's a 90-point buy, right? So these Commandos Para just got a 90-point buy out that's going to be in hotel for a while, not moving up to the front, and might even be able to kill it. Depends sort of on how this goes, but I think they're actually shooting the Mi-24D first, and then the VP.
I don't think they'll be able to kill the VP, just because it's actually got armor everywhere but the rear.
Yeah.
And he'll probably actually get value out of the VP. It's hard not to get value out of them a lot of the times.
Yeah, it's
However,
fair. So
I'd say
close
the
to a
biggest thing
kill.
this does is you definitely draw their micro away from the front, and there is a lot going on.
Right, so BTRTs, KRKKs, just look at those frag rounds. Holy cow.
Oh yeah. Luckily, it's reservists and the super heavy eating this frag rounds, so
Yeah, we don't really
no
care about
expensive
that too much.
infantry, but
10RC getting a couple nice side shots
yeah. And
too. I
again,
didn't notice
this is
this.
10 RC from the opener. He has been there all game, and he's paid for himself. So as you can see, I mean, he's got 10 shots left.
Right, something like that, I think. So, 15 shots already used. Kratal
You're
taking down a
guaranteed
Hawk.
to have paid for
Yeah.
yourself by then.
I only wish I'd brought some resupply up here. I think it would have been good. There's just no place to put it, really. And
Yeah.
then this is the blue wave. So Panzergren, Panzergren, Panzergren. A little clumped up, probably, if we'd gotten
Yeah.
bombed.
So,
Uh,
I mean, well, their bombers have just come in. The main threat would definitely be in Oregon. Oregon could be disastrous at the moment, but
yeah. And
it's
I
not
don't...
like that's all we have. We've got, you can just see just waves and waves coming in behind them.
Right, and there comes the Panzergren fucking Leopard 2, right? So it's going back up to cap. And then this was a little goofy. I have a 2A1 on this side, Commandos pair out on this side, and I think it's around this point where I just told you, hey, I'm gonna go right, and I'm gonna cap this, and we're gonna
I
get it up
believe you
and
said,
take.
yeah, I'm going to put an infantry CV in over here. I go, all right, just let me know when you need smoke for that move, because the PMPSV is going to see you try to get in.
Yeah, and he did, and the fact
And
that
then I'll look away.
like, look at that, nearly killed my 2A1
Oh,
and
that's a
didn't take a single
disgusting
shot.
tank, the PMPSV.
Yeah, yeah, really cost efficient, 75 points.
I think I try for a shot here with the P-Grens, but I doubt I'll get it.
Yeah, he switched over, and yeah, it's worried, but it's not dead yet.
Just the ARM-70's firing in mid and just
Oh,
stun. Everything's stunned.
Look at that, that's so gross. And then triple podnos as well, so mortar fire just persistent. It really does make elite infantry just have a hard time surviving.
Yeah, in a narrow ground like this.
Boxes. Oh man, look at those 5
Yeah, and
point
this is
boxes.
like you were saying, the VDV, kind of an analog to the P-Grens.
Right. So the Vampire, 24 AP, 70 accuracy. Is that the same? Yeah, it is. Look at that.
The range difference is massive, though. The 175 meters may not seem like a lot, but I assure you it is a massive difference.
Both at range and close up, where you get better range scaling as well. It's not something you usually think about in forced fights, but that extra, what is it, 10% or so at close range is brutal. So Hawk Bomber taking a shot does get out, or nope, there's the kill. And there hasn't really been all that much over here, but I am getting another group of Commandos para around. I swear, there's something in my head that just, I'm just not happy unless I'm sneaking infantry around. I don't know what it is.
They're just walking through a field, and it might look like, oh, they'll be spotted there, but they do have the little bit of stealth that normal infantry squads might not have.
Yeah, and then sometimes you don't even need it. If you can walk in full view of your opponent and they're looking over here on this map, it's really difficult. So if we flip around, for example, all the micro that's been going on this side and then calling in reinforcements here, if you're playing like this, where's the, like, look at that blue dot right there on the side.
Yep, there it is.
It's so hard to see.
For 1 second. And
Yeah.
Then, yeah.
Right, so you may not even notice that, and I've done that before too. I've walked in plain view of my opponent, and because they're distracted, it doesn't do anything. So now we have 16 minutes left. We have 2 to 24 to 152. That's about, I want to say, 8 minutes worth of tick. So they have gotten a fair number of points on us just because of how many times we've been forced back out of Delta. But
the main thing is they've had to expend so many points just to keep us out of Delta for a limited amount of time, and the very instant that they let off the pressure, the
we're back
intensity
in.
just comes right on back up, and there it is.
Still 8 strength. We've run through a couple of Mancot 1s, which, yeah, I mean, they're healing this guy up. They're healing up the 2A5. Panthers, by the way, shooting in here, probably not my smartest maneuver.
No, it actually works pretty well, because if you look,
ooh,
the BMPT firing alerts the Milan.
Yeah, and he's right there in the middle of the town. Let's see if we can get the second shot in. And kill. There it is. 60 points right there, not bad at all. I only wish I'd clustered around here, because they've been shooting those BM24s from about the same spot for a couple of times now. Really should have had counterfire, but yeah, there is no perfect war game, right? So
Of course. And there's a lot going on, and
right.
especially now, I think.
So 2A1 is getting healed up. Leclerc is coming in on this side. Command infantry moving up. I was dead set on this. I was sitting there going,
I don't think I actually looked over here, other than like stuff you were alerting to me to, like moving the Gepard a little bit here and
Yeah,
there.
which I asked for because there was things like a
Yeah.
Jet Ranger, and I think
And
there
then
was
I looked over in about a minute from now and I go, oh my god, there's a Gepard over there. And we go, I guess we're sending it.
yeah, yeah.
But
Oh,
right now, this is another dangerous moment. In middle,
oh yeah.
Nick Demands just brought out the Buratino and Renico Yukari. These will make short work of the tank CB.
Right, even the
Unlike their
2A5 too, right? So these guys, these tanks are isolated. They're 150 points they're 170 points apiece, I want to say.
Yeah.
340
So it's like two
points right
super
there.
heavies, basically.
Yeah, and then that's not
The
even
nice
it.
thing
Look at
is,
that.
so the Buratino isolates our tanks from our infantry here. However, uh, the tanks just kind of reverse through the flames after the Buratino's done firing, and that ends up leaving the Ranicas unable to pursue us. Even though we do lose a little bit of HP going through the flames, it's most definitely worth it to escape from them.
Yeah, usually just the back of the envelope calculation I have for moving through this is if you can afford to lose about 5 points of strength, odds are your tank can make it out.
Yeah,
It's not a surefire, but
it's the I don't know. Maybe if you get detract or something, you'll die. But
right, which I have had
very
happen before.
unlikely.
It feels really bad, but now we are moving around. Panzergren had to go all the way around. They're going to get obliterated by those Mi-8 MTVs. That was really rough. But you know, we have more stuff back here still. You have Martyr 2s. You have, I'm assuming there's a P-Grant 90 in those Martyr 2s.
Yes.
And you're just waiting for the Buratino to be done. We're going to move back up. We still have some time to spare. And, ooh, the Mi-24 VP I think actually killed your Gepard,
Yes.
which,
Just typical Wargame things with
oh yeah.
helicopters going AA.
Yeah, yeah. And you might be thinking to yourself right now, okay, how is this going to work? This is just a horrible situation, right? We have command infantry, they're not really supported. There's Corps Mariner there, there's a 2A1 that's relatively blind because I don't have anything up with it for recon because, well, no, I guess we do have this, but that's just one, right? So how is that going to be impactful? Shouldn't we just focus on Delta or even India, right? So they're moving a couple of things around here. I wasn't quite sure why, but it could have just been in response. I've moved up more stuff on this side too. So double 2A1, reservists, MX-13s. I kind of wish that all of this was over on the right. I think that would have been a much better play. But
Possibly.
the intention here was just to make them fight me on both sides while you were being in the center. Because,
Yeah, I think what it does do is it keeps their point distribution. They have to keep making buys on both flanks as well to match your buys.
right, and that's artillery, which means that it's not artillery coming into Delta.
Oh, that's most definitely good as well. This
So-
Aragon strike, if this was in mid, it would. I mean, what's it hitting? It's hitting reservists
Martyr
and
2s.
some martyrs. That's really not a big deal. If it fires into mid right now, I mean,
It's
there's
killing
P-grams,
Panzergren, yeah.
It's stunning everything. It's just awful pain.
Oh, of course they had a second.
Oh yeah.
There you
Well, one's better than two.
go. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Oh, jeez. So much artillery. That was a really consistent theme across all three games with these guys. Just so much artillery usage.
Yeah, it's very effective. Especially, like, for the most part, when you're playing a 2v2 on a 1v1 map or 3v3 on a 2v2 map, every time that you downsize the map or you increase the scale of the players, you're exponentially increasing the efficiency of the artillery. Like
Right.
3v3 on 1v1 map, artillery is just king because, I mean, everybody's fighting in a lane that might usually in a 1v1 have like much lower unit density. In this huge unit density, and
Gotcha. I'm going to pause here just for a second because this is actually a huge pet peeve of mine. I love Baltic Moto. It was the first deck that I ever really got comfortable with, and I know motorized decks have their drawbacks and all that, but Raskas and Korima, I love these guys. They're awesome. The 16 AP Heat, I believe, can kill 2 frontal armor in one shot. It's just on the hairy edge of it, which means that these guys can take on the good boxes of so many factions, basically other than France, Dutch, and some US, I want to say, on Blue 4.
That sounds right.
Yeah, but bringing them with KRKKs, I think, is a missed opportunity, because they're 15 points apiece, they're 5 strength, right? And you might think to yourself, okay, well, pop the can, and then kill what's inside it with the KRKKs, but the Raskas and Korima can shoot at infantry as well, 2 HE, and at 1400 meter range, they're not going to reach you. So I take Raskas and Korima in musty trucks, and you know, this would have
I
been...
think that's the more popular take, is to bring the musty truck. I mean, you get double musty, right?
Right, so 60 points right there, and instead of 3 recoilless rifles and 3, three grenade launchers that are not doing any damage to the 2A1, you have 6 recoilless rifles, guaranteed 1 damage per hit. So, I think it's just...
To give him some credit here, I don't think they believe that we have so much armor over here. I mean, well, at least I didn't. This surprised me when I looked over to drop the smoke for you, and I saw Leclerc. I was like, well, I figured out where we're pushing.
Right, and to be clear, I never mean anything as a, oh, you're just straight doing it wrong, except for the one time where my ally brought no anti-air or recon in the opener, then got bombed. But no, that's a big exception. I know everyone plays how they like to play and all that. It seems like a missed opportunity to me. That's the reason why I comment on it. Now, if there's a perfectly fine reason for it, and I mean, he had 2 Pions back behind there that killed the tank anyway, so it definitely had good support. It's what I like to run, right? And the unfortunate truth of it is, if you're watching this, you're listening to my YouTube channel, and I'm gonna say what I think, which it may not always be right, even, and that's fine. But you know, it is what it is. It's fine. It's a fun game. Everyone plays differently, and the way that I play is by far not the best or even close. Because if it was,
it's always good to explore new options, right?
Right, exactly.
Find out what works for you.
So try the KRKKs, try the musties. My guess is you'll like them better than the musties. I do as well. But this pressure in Charlie also let us get the Tiger shifted over in mid, and you took out a Jet Ranger there, 60-point kill, and then we're pulling them on either side of the map, because I think what they really wanted to do was just keep fighting in Delta, and that's what we...
I think this is right about when we're both going, I have no more infantry left. You have infantry left?
I ran right out of reservists. I ran right out of Panzergren 90 in boxes. So like the Leclerc, the AMX 1390 stuff, this stuff, was pretty much all I had. It was really brutal. You're playing against a moto deck that has really deep pockets for infantry. So many more cards.
Especially, it's really good at deleting infantry cards.
Right, exactly. So you have the BMPTs fighting, you have all that stuff, and then high availability on Moto Strelky as well. So, who did that? Yeah, very nice. But we got a couple of really good kills. I think one thing that was persistent is we killed a lot of air power in these games, and that definitely helped bridge the gap, particularly in this one where, geez, that ground grind was just brutal. So, 64 escorts. I've never seen somebody better with these guys than you are. It's terrifying.
I don't know if that's a compliment or...
It is. It really is. Like,
I understand, but these things can be used for other purposes, very cheesy purposes. Too many escorts and people will not typically be happy, but they're definitely super powerful helicopters. Definitely point.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the most useful things you can have on that.
I mean, look at that, even stunning a Pion, allowing my Leclerc to survive in a really dangerous situation. And then, I don't think they knew where the command infantry was.
They probably assume it's in that smoke cloud, like precisely in the smoke cloud.
Right, which, oh geez, I just threw away a Tiger. Oh, maybe not.
Maybe not?
Maybe not?
Yeah, look at that, you see the MLRS coming in. It looks like it's very close, but it does look centered on the smoke cloud.
Right, so a couple strikes going in there. One of them nearly gets it. Yeah, but the whole time this is going, we're ticking +2, and at 8 minutes left in the game, this is the security that we need, right? So you've countercapped Delta again, we've countercapped Charlie, and this is sort of its breathing room. We're less than 100 points away, which means that we're about 6 to 7.5 minutes away at +1 from tying, or even losing. But the longer we can keep that +2, the more it just gives us a bit more space, and that's all we need right now. So
the more that we have the +2, the more that they need the +2. And
yeah.
They're, even if they push us out of mid, which is the main thing they've been trying to do.
That's
even
a
if they
+1.
do that, that's only a +1, exactly.
So you might be thinking I'm kind of throwing this stuff away, and you're right. The entire purpose of this was to delay them finding my command infantry on this side. So if I lost all this stuff, I'd be fine with it. Because, look, we're playing Conquest, right? If we win on points and we're down on kills, we still win on points. So this was all a distraction, just trying, and it does stop the T-80UM. I think it stopped a lot of the stuff here just firing, because this guy, all he had to do was drive a little bit farther forward, and there they go. But it's not going to last forever, and there are charioteers on the way. It's a sad day, but
I think the other thing is that it makes it so they need to bring shocks of their own to clear out these Panzergrunts in the forest.
Yeah, that's
Maybe not
true.
the most, because only one squad made it in, but it's definitely something that they have to deal with.
Right, and then if they were going to counter push into Charlie, we have more P ground, we have more boxes. You're bringing up some ATGMs, which probably really smart choice considering we saw those heavy
Shut down
tanks.
the field where the T-80 is,
Right, exactly.
just so
And
he can't drive up and peek the CB. But
this is
I
still
don't know how long
alive.
this is going to be there.
It's still alive. It's in the very tail end of this
The
forest.
fire is also probably helping block line of sight. I don't know exactly how far the T-80 can see in, but
Yeah.
it looks like it might be.
Right, and then my Commandos Para over on this side are just going around, and I don't remember what that attack marker was. I think it might have been a mortar, but I'm just trying to see what I can find. So they do finally kill it. We've lost Charlie now with 6 minutes left,
That little
and
bit of tech is very nice breathing. Probably got like about, I believe we got 220-ish points
before
from
then,
the opener, the early CVs, and then I guess it's another 110 points from that +2 there,
yeah,
which is pretty big.
yeah, especially at this point in the game, right? So 5 minutes left. I think they need a +2.
Yes.
We're just passing the point where they would need a +3 in order to get the win. So
Which is not impossible on this map. If there's a map to get a +3 on, this is it.
right, you take Delta, you take
absolutely.
Alpha, they can get a +3 from that, and
Not even you don't have to take anything. You just kill a few CVs, and all of a sudden the numbers go up very high.
that's fair.
Because there's so many +2s, right?
Right, because we have 1,
I mean,
2 on
killing our
either
CV
side.
and Alpha and like putting their own CV in there, like just a quick counter swing, and they're at +4. Like it's
Right, which is that's the
how
+4
this
we
map
had at the
works.
start, right? So
Exactly.
we saw it even in this game. So Commandos Para fighting. I should have moved up the Legion probably to engage, but I didn't want to be aggressive here. I was just trying to lose slowly, I guess, was the goal. And yeah, I mean there's not really too much more to say for that. I guess before we wrap up, I do have to do the obligatory, and we still have more time left in the game, but as we get toward the end of it, if you're still listening and you haven't done the whole like, share, subscribe nonsense that I have to ask for in order to not get punished by YouTube, it does help me out quite a lot. I hate asking for it, it makes me feel dirty, but I tell you what, you guys get me to 1,000 subscribers, you won't hear me say a word for like a couple months. Promise. I really do hate asking for it, but the difference between when I do and don't is incredible. If I do, people like videos. If I don't, they don't, and then the next day is even worse. So, that's enough on that. So, as this was wrapping up, they are actually pushing entirely into Charlie, so they're going for it, right? This is not a match that either team wanted to lose, being the third of a best out of 3 in a tourney game, too, right? This is not just a public match. And I was panicking at this point, so I think I told you, I was bringing out 10 RCs, I was trying to get all of this. At the time, you were pretty calm. Was that just to keep me calm as well, or did you think we had it in the bag at this point?
It's very difficult for them to get this, especially now with, you just flew 2 Tigers down the middle of the map and killed their city in India. The fact is, you said like they needed a +3, now they probably need like a +4. While it is possible for them to get it, it's very difficult, especially once they lose the CB on the left.
Yeah, over in
It's just
India.
really, really difficult. Like even the time it takes to get the CV there is drastically lowering their chances of winning.
I do want to say, this was a no-holds-barred game, so the kills and losses at the end were just huge, like, on the scale I've rarely seen.
I mean, this is really, it shows their team was playing good and they were playing the objectives. They're not trying to preserve their units or play for KD. They are trying to get tech. That is what is important.
Exactly, and I like to see this sort of ending too, because if you end the game and you still have thousands of points of stuff on your side, what was it doing? Right? Why was it still there? You may as well throw everything you can at the wall, and just, if it ends up that most of it dies, but it gets you the win, great. If it ends up that most of it dies and you didn't get the win, well, at least you tried, right?
Oh my god, is the monk cut you off? Oh
No.
no.
Yeah.
Just didn't want to rearm the crits off.
Yeah, I have no idea why sometimes rearming in this is really persnickety, but even then,
Absolutely.
this is still a problem, because the 24 VP and the Sokol and the 24W are in range, but that MI8 MTV is looking for my Fulks. So,
I'm right at it.
yeah,
It's
and
there, though.
I threw those guys out there just to give the Crotal more time to rearm, because it does have that long reload time between salvos, and it kills it right there. So I lost it, Tiger Hap coming up, just trying to intervene any way that I can, and we'll have to see if it's enough. My rolling threes are out of ammunition. The Tiger Hap has one misdraw, which it uses on the wrong target. It then dies, and he's still going. So I actually lose the Fuchs Fufu here. I was really chagrined about that too, because I had a Kratal, I had the rolling threes, I had a Hap. Down he goes. They are ticking +1 with a minute left in the game, so we both sort of traded for our 2-point zones on this side, and they finally do have Delta. Everything here is dead. Just a meat grinder of a game.
You can see all the husks of the vehicles in here.
Look at that.
There's a lot of infantry in there too.
That's just a graveyard. Look at this. I'm surprised it wasn't even blocking the road.
Probably see some funny pathfinding if you tried to drive down it.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3 right here. And that's the whole road. Goodness gracious.
CV go down on the left once again, and I mean, it's already done.
Yeah, it is. It is. +1 is not enough with 33 seconds left. They'd have to decap us
CV
completely.
Fighting for their lives.
Right.
Alpha and yeah.
Well, hey, I just want to say hats off to both Nick Demand and Feel Good Lost for a really, really crazy series of 3 games. Even the ones that we won, it felt like we were on just a razor's edge the entire game. So a lot of fun there. Thank you guys for some nice games, and of course, my thanks to Grape Jellyman as well for joining me for the replay and for the discussion of it. Really has been teaching me a lot about this game, and if you have the luck to play with him and to talk with him, he's a great guy to learn from. So, kills, losses, within 6 points.
Yeah.
It's absurd.
I mean, that's good. I mean, it means that basically everything we were buying was going to
the
do
front.
Something at the end there, right?
Yeah, yeah. You went positive, of course, by about 400 points. I made up for it. And most of that, I think, was just the unsupported push on the right, which, in terms of kills and losses, was a waste.
I mean, yeah, and look at that. You have more conquest points, so that's what determines the game, is it not?
Right, it is. So the little bit of breathing room there, I would trade those kills and losses for a little bit extra points on the board any day.
Another thing to look at is also you opened with 2 CVs, which might not seem like a big deal, but maybe you open with 1 less CV, you hold the left for longer, but we don't get that 220 tick in the beginning of the game, which means that we have to play entirely different on mid. We have to play for control, or we have to push their 2-pointer.
Right. And if we were even on points in the beginning and they had gotten the +1 tick, now we have to be on the attack instead of on the defense.
We can't just sit there.
Right. So standout units are going to be things like the Crotal that killed a Yak 141, a couple of helicopters.
The Crotal from the
opener that went with you.
Yeah, that made it to the very end of the game.
Yeah, the Yak 141 flew right over him. He got the last little love tap there. Rolling threes tend to always do well. I love bringing them. And the 10RC, I mean, this is a BTRT, a couple of ASUs, a Spike team, Musty. Just some decent value off of those guys. Crotals tend to just be really excellent. That's why I like the Finnish version that just has more ammunition. It's more expensive.
That's definitely their limiting factor is the ammo count.
Right. I kind of wish I'd resupplied them quicker. But, yeah, that's a lot of good value. No real excellent page-long kill lists on this, but the really contentious games, the games I love the most, tend not to have them anyway. So that's all we've got for you guys today. Thank you all again for hanging around, and we'll see you again real soon.